Again, my name is Matt McCahill. I am one of 2 account managers here at BigTime Software. We also have Mackenzie Riley from BigTime. She's on our marketing team as well. She's going to help me be fielding questions today as we walk through the webinar for our BigTime Enterprise clients. The second account manager here at Dave is Dave Carney. During the transition process, when you make that switch from Enterprise to IQ, you'll either be working with myself or Dave during that evaluation process. The purpose of today's meeting is this webinar. Again, everyone on this call, this is geared towards our enterprise clients. Those that are on a bit of, you hear enterprise, it is a dated version of BigTime. It's actually like a single tenant site. So when our development team has to push updates out, they have to push it to each site where the BigTime IQ is a multi-tenant site. Much more up to date with the times. We push constant updates to IQ. We do a epic release about once a quarter, and then we do little mini releases throughout the year as well. On today's call, we are going to go through what we call the critical path. That's going to be first setting up a new project. We are going to go through adding in some budgets, some billing contacts. We will then log some time and expenses against it, take a look at approvals, and then from there we'll invoice and then wrap the call up with reporting. My goal is to have this done in about 45 minutes, so to get a little time back in your day, and then also we can stay on the call for a few minutes as well if there's any questions as well. Again, I will be trying to field these throughout the call. So from here, I am going to start with some of those general overview enhancements as well. So let's pull up the new IQ account. So here we're going to see we are logged in as myself and MPM Consulting. This is my demo account. It's all mock information. So we're going to have some hopefully fun setting a new project up and manipulating the data. Now, you're going to notice some general enhancements. One, in the bottom right-hand screen, you see a chat feature. In this version of BigTime, you can start chatting with a support rep at any point in time. There's no more pop-up windows. If you're accustomed to seeing that little fish as a screen loads, that's unfortunately gone in this version of BigTime as well. This view is a full-blown system admin. So you have the full keys to the kingdom. I can see, last time my QuickBooks synced, how many hours have been logged today. All these buckets here are drilled down as well. So to dive right in here, I'm going to go up to this My Company tab. I'm going to go to my project list. Now, there's quite a bit of personalization in this version of BigTime as well. You can call this your client list, your engagement list, job list. So you really get to match that internal jargon. As this screen loads here, you're going to see I have a couple different views I can look at. I can look at just each individual, or I can do a drop down so I can subtotal the client and the projects under the client. I can start to, it's infinity scroll here, no more page 1, page 2. I can also just start to type in what I'm looking for. So here, under the University of Arizona, we're going to take a look at a new athletic center. If I select this green box up here, it'll make this a little bit bigger, hopefully make it easier for you to see. In this version of BigTime, you're going to see a lot. It's presented differently, but it's quite a bit of the same information. We are going to be working from left to right on these tabs. So here in this contacts tab, or my apologies, the project tab, a couple different things going on here. I have my project ID, which I have autofills for me. I have this type. I'm flagging the University of Arizona as an education. All these drop downs, you get to make this list your own. And then you can take a look at grouped reporting for this as well. I have my start and due dates, additional cost centers, which you have in your version of BigTime as well. Again, great for grouped reporting, especially when we go to the utilization dashboard, we can group by these cost centers as well. I have down here at the bottom of the screen, I have a PO number. Anytime I invoice against this project, I can have that PO number pull onto an invoice. And here, also something that will play into staff capacity and when you do allocations as well, is I have a status that I'm using for pre-sales. Some clients do 50%, 90% commit. You're never going to why we integrate with some CRM tools like Salesforce. You're never going to manage a pipeline in BigTime, but as you have work that you think is going to be signed off on, you can then start to enter it in BigTime in a pre-sale state, and then allocate staff hours against that project, and have an idea of if making sure you have a capacity to take that work on. You could take a look at October of 2020 if a big project's coming on, and having a good sense of who's going to be working on it, or maybe do you need to start hiring. So once the job comes in, and I'm going to say this is going from pre-sales to in process, I'll hit save, and then I can add that. At that point in time, I'm going to add it to my QuickBooks file. From here, I just had a quick question come in. Yes, the API, we do API integrations, very common in BigTime. A lot of clients will utilize. You can push and pull. We have wonderful documentation from that on our dev team. And for this client, I can follow up with you after the call with that as well. But you would need to redo the API when you make that transition, I believe. But I'll need to double check on that for you. But very common. We also have some clients use a data warehouse as well for additional reporting needs. Two last things on this screen. This notes tab. These project notes here, these are just general project notes. This is a text box. This text box here that says default invoice notes, these notes can pull directly onto an invoice. And when you enter it here, you're not set with it. You do have the option to edit, delete at the time of invoicing as well. Some clients even use this as a reminder as when they're going to invoice if there's anything very specific about that client to do. We are going to briefly touch on this contacts tab. Here, you're going to see it's the client address. This again can pull onto the invoice. I put Gina Gunderson here. You're going to notice I flagged her as the billing contact. So she will pull onto the invoice. And also say I have a project A and a project B for one client. Gina can be the billing contact for project A. For project B, it could be Jim from somewhere else. And so very easy to manage here in BigTime. You can also have multiple clients on this project or multiple client records on this project as well. You can continue to add those. This financials tab here, you're going to see here, this is a bit of a project history. So, you can tell this is a newer project, just started the week of the 26th. I can drill down into these, all these hyperlinks here are drill downs, so I can go ahead and open this up. I can see, who entered it. All these screens can be personalized as well. If you want the staff name in there, anything like that. So this is just a bit of a history tab. Just so you can always check in and see the health of a project. You can also do that in the tasks tab, which we'll be reviewing as well. I'm going to jump over to this team tab here. Right now, again, some of this information you're going to recognize. You've seen it in your version of BigTime. It's presented differently here. It's a bit of a better flow for sure. But what I'm noting, you're going to notice I flagged Patrick, who's a project manager, as the team lead. Patrick now has the authority to either approve time and or expenses and or invoices. When we get to approvals, we'll take a deeper dive into that as well. And if you wanted to manage the entire team on here, you can easily add additional members. From here, I'm going to jump over to this rates tab. With the rates here, I can, in a staff profile, I can set their cost rate, and then I can also set standard bill rates. Now, if those change from either client to client or project to project, I can add in custom billing rates and override that standard. You can even select, you can drill down into even what they're working on a task level. So I could say when Regina is working on design, it's this rate. When Regina is working on develop, it's this rate. We can definitely match your current rate structure and hopefully improve it in this version of BigTime as well. Upon that, with IQ Premier, you have variable cost rates. So we're not looking at bill rates, but we're actually shifting to cost rates. Now, likely you won't need this if it's a salaried employee. If it is an employee that is either a 1099 or contractor, that you actually pay them different rates. So you pay them $40 an hour on this project, you pay them $60 on this project. You can manage that here and have a report. And that really helps with reconciliation when you're going and cutting those checks or receiving invoices from them. Again, custom bill rates on a project level. Everything we've been looking at so far is on that project level. Now here, I'm going to jump over to tasks. Quite a bit going on here. This is where your project management really quite a bit of it takes place here in BigTime. I always like to say this is where you recreate your scope of work. If this was a fixed fee project, you're going to notice near the bottom it subtotals. This would be at 310 hours at $39,800. That should match what the client signed off on for any of those fixed fee projects. If it's time and material or item-based billing, you're still going to want to fill this information out. I mean, it'll help with future job costing, and especially if you ever have like a not to exceed limit, anything like that, you can enter that information here and then have warnings go off, notifications. So you can get it'll be one email that will list every project that hits a threshold. So say it hits 50% of the budget, 70, 90, or 100. So you could just set those thresholds and get an email reminder, or some clients prefer just to, they start their day off taking a look at some budget status by task reports. All this information, we can really, not only is it great for leadership, but those project managers, it can be set up so they only see the project managers that they're the team lead of, and they can really have an idea of the health of their project and where everything is at. So now I'm going to select this editor tab here. Again, you can create templates with these, so you can just drop a template in. We go to a task and a subtask level that would roll up to the task. I can have start and due dates, and I can even assign these tasks to individuals as well. Now, these, and a lot of times in that, two things here. In your current enterprise version, this is actually two different fields that we merged into one. You had your budgeting and estimates and your tasks. These are now housed in the same place. I can break these tasks up as fee only, expense only, or fee and expense. These tasks, which some clients call engagements or phases, same thing. You can rename it so to match that jargon again. And then with that, these can actually link to your labor codes in your QuickBooks file. So we can, instead of having a large universal dropdown on your timesheet, instead of that, we can have project-specific tasks and really, minimize any timesheet errors. And then you can really lock down and make sure your staff are only selecting what they should be seeing on that project task level. And I'll take a look at that here in just a bit. From here, I'm going to select this Schedule tab. A great enhancement of this version of BigTime, and I did a pretty basic Gantt chart here. You can create like dependencies in here if you'd like. I believe we have a webinar on just how much you can do in this screen alone. And I also created a baseline, and you can have as many baselines as you want. So as you make shifts to this Gantt chart, you can take a look at where it started at, and then where did it end up. Again, another feature of IQ Premier are going to be these allocations. I'm going to select allocations here. I'm going to explain this chart in just a moment. But first, we're going to jump into these allocations. I can look at these on a weekly and a monthly basis. I have firms that are around the size of 5 users up to a couple hundred who use this feature. It's, again, you get to these allocations, you're really looking at the future, and it's all done on hours on either a weekly or monthly basis. And then you can scope out the work of the project. Now, you're going to see here, we have those 4 tasks. I have Regina assigned to design. These red lines signify the due date. This is just, it's a signifier, I can go past it and say I added 20 hours on here. This just highlighted red because I went over the total amount of allocation. Now it's great when you know who's working on it, but many times that's not the case. You're gonna see here under the test task, I have 50 hours and I have a consultant working on that. So I can select this view by staff member. And here I see Hermione, she's working on these 2 tasks, Regina's on design. Now I need to figure out which of my consultants is going to work on the test here. I can select the suggestions tab. And here in my staff profile, you can have 1 role assigned to that staff. They can always play more on a project, but in their staff role, they can be assigned a single role. It's in that staff profile. So here are my consultants who have the capacity to take this work on. You're going to see here the numbers can be changing around a bit. This knows other projects they are assigned to as well. So I can say, great, I'm going to throw Neil on this. Now let's take a look at Regina, who I had put on for quite a bit of time here. I can actually select the totals, and so for this project, these are the hours she's allocated, other projects, and now her overall total. So I would either have to see if she's working, Regina is comfortable working overtime, maybe make a shift in the hours. So that would be an immediate signifier for me that I would need to make a change here. Now, everything we are looking at so far is on that project level. I can show you another dashboard that we can take a look at this information for the company as a whole. Now, when I go to hit save here, there's a couple different things I can do. I can update the task assignments automatically for me, update the project team. Now, I'm not going to select hourly or fee budgets, and that's because we're taking a look at a fixed fee today. And so if some clients will come in and actually go and fill those hours out first and then create hourly budgets and even fee budgets, and how it does that is however many hours you allocate, it'll times that by what bill rate you specified for this, and then create a budget for the project. Last but not least, revenue projections. This is a big one for a lot of our clients. I'm going to do a bit of a more basic one and just say hourly times rate. We'll take a look at that near the end of the call when we get to reporting. So here is the first of 2 dashboards we're going to take a look at today. Budgeted versus actual. So huge component of Premier. That is because if almost every time I'm working with a client, I find out someone somewhere in the company is doing budgeting. A lot of times I find out it's Excel doc or Google Excel doc. Now, what's hard about that is a lot of times your staff will be doing it on their own, and likely, unless you're doing formal staff meetings, they're kind of doing it in their own way. When you pull it into BigTime, everyone's going to be doing it the same way. And then unless you're going back and adding in the actuals, you're not getting it. You're only getting the budgeted. So automatically in real time, you're going to getting budgeted versus actuals. So I got 2 questions that came in quickly. Does this work with QuickBooks Desktop? Yes, we work with QuickBooks Desktop. It's just not on Mac, and it works. So as long as it's QuickBooks Desktop PC, and then also we work with all forms of QuickBooks Online. Great question. Also, can we import schedules from Microsoft Project with an API? Yes, you could. We do not have a direct integration with them, but that would work with an API. Few more quick things here. Again, the gray is the budgeted, the red's the actual. So this starts to tell a story, but then I even get key member breakdowns. So for Hermione Granger, I can see that she is at 16 of her 110 hours. Regina Phalange, she's at 7 of her 150. So definitely in the beginning phases of this project. Now we're going to jump over to the timesheet. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually pull up a different account. Let me pull this over here. So this is Right here, I'm logged into the NPM account, but I'm logged in as Patrick now. His user rights are, he's more than just an everyone user. We come stock with two set levels of user rights that come with it. A system admin who can do everything, and then an everyone user. And then you can create any in between you need. So Patrick is set it as a project manager. When he hits home here, it's his timesheet. He doesn't have all those buckets on the dashboard. He doesn't see QuickBooks up at the top. We keep that locked down. So, a huge component of when you make this upgrade to IQ is the ease of use on your staff. Not only is it just, no one likes to fill out a timesheet, but it needs to be done, track those billable hours. So here in this version, it's much easier to fill out a timesheet, but not only can you do it from your desktop or your computer, you can also use the mobile app. On the mobile app with BigTime, you can do both time and expenses. With expenses, you can also you can open up the app. It works on both iPhone, Android, and all that. And you can open up the app, take a picture of the receipt, link it to a job, enter the amount. Even on that task level, you can flag a task, enter your notes as well. Great way to really just make it easier on your staff, because the app works in online and offline mode. So they can be in an Uber, sitting on a bus, any pre-COVID, anything like that, and be able to fill this information out. Now, taking a look at this timesheet, couple different things we have going on. We have timers here. I can start a timer, add notes in, and drop it right on that timesheet. You're going to see here these lines with nothing in here. That's because I worked on this in a previous week, so it carries over. When I come in, it's just meant to streamline it, make it easier for your staff. I could come in and clear everything, and it'll keep going down. I could clear everything, or I could say, this one project I'm no longer working on. Let's just remove that one. With this view, I'm taking a look at a weekly view. I can toggle to the daily view as well. So it's personal preference for your staff of how they want to be entering their time. I'm going to come back to this weekly view. I'm going to add a timesheet row. Here, again, I can just quickly start to type in what I'm looking for. It'll narrow down for me. Again, now project-specific tasks is huge because we entered budgets for each of these tasks. So as your staff add time and expenses against the project, I will be able to show you exactly how you're doing against the design budget, develop, and so forth. And then you will be able to get profitability from this, and again, revenue projections as well. So here, I'm gonna go ahead and select design. Now, if I add 4 hours here and hit save, it's not gonna let me. In this version of BigTime, you are able to make notes required on the timesheet. Hit save. Maybe on the same day, I also worked on that same project, but a different task. So maybe I did some reporting as well for 2 hours. Now I'm gonna hit save. Now you're gonna notice that your staff member, this time is on their sheet. They still have the ability to go back and edit it. Why we can implement things like timesheet locks, once they go ahead and formally submit the time. What did I forget here? Once I go back and formally submit the time and my screen refreshes, you will see here that it is now locked out. I can go back and create a new line and add an hour, but once they submit that time, it is now in the hands of either the team lead or system administrator. They could reach out to you and say, hey, can you reject those? I need to make an edit, anything like that. But we do lock that timesheet down so that they can't go back and make changes, especially if you're invoicing, things like that. From here, we're going to make a shift and go ahead and take a look at adding expenses. Again, this can be done from the mobile phone. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to select an expense type. Again, these link to those QuickBooks service items for you. I can say, maybe I was doing mileage. I went and drove somewhere. We have a custom calculator in here for them. And just quickly look in what project. I went 50 miles. That was 29 bucks. Again, we can have task, and we could have had an expense only task as well, maybe during the design. And let's add a receipt on here. Now I'm going to hit save. Let's quickly add one more expense, but I'm going to go ahead and submit this just like the time. I want to show you one different type. You're going to see here that Patrick can't add a vendor expense. That's because he does not have the ability to. I like to add a little title here. Here we go, submit expenses. Now, Patrick can go back to his history and see submitted, and he knows because he's not expecting his reimbursable check yet because it hasn't gone through the approval process. If for some reason an expense was rejected, say he forgot to attach a receipt, so we'll take a look at actually doing that, but it would say rejected here, and you'll see here somewhere else he has a rejected expense as well, so he'll get notified in that in a couple different ways. So let's take a shift back to the system admin. Now from here, I'm going to add a vendor expense. Patrick didn't have the authority to do this and those user rights. So here, this vendor, when I link up my QuickBooks with my BigTime account, we also integrate with Sage Intacct as well. This is my vendor list in my QuickBooks account. And we could always, if you're not QuickBooks, we could always populate a vendor list in here as well for you. But so here, I'm going to hit this John Smith Inc., their invoice number, the expense type. I do a vendor bill 12% markup. Again, which project, the amount. This is for the develop. And you can actually attach their invoice. So not only just for your record keeping, but then when we go to invoice, I can pull all those receipts on it, including if it's like a 2-page invoice from them, it'll pull both pages on there for you. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and select a receipt there. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to submit both in one report. You're going to see I have 2 different expenses for 2 different clients. Submit here. It's been submitted. Again, so far, we've now gone from entering time, selecting tasks on the timesheet. We have submitted reimbursable expenses, a vendor expense, and one thing I didn't show you that if you'd like to see on another call, I'd be more than happy to schedule individual calls so we can really look at those specific use cases. But we even have, you can have your company credit cards. Those do link to the credit cards in your QuickBooks account. So really can help streamline reconciling those credit card charges. And you also get to lock down who can use it. So I can say, only Regina can use the company Chase. So quite a bit of, again, rights will play into that. From here, we're going to jump over to pending approvals. Now we have timesheets, expenses, and invoicing. On IQ Pro, you have a single level on time and expense. On Premier, you have up to 3. For invoicing, you have 2 levels for Pro and 4 levels for Premier. So we're going to see here, I also have different, so expenses go straight to finance admin. Now, timesheets here, that's going to work a little bit differently. If it is a billable project, it goes to the team lead that I flagged in that project setup. So for our use case, anytime for the Arizona Athletic Center, that will go to Patrick. After that, it'll go to finance and admin. You have many different options with this, which will assist you with helping select the best for your business. Now, this non-billable here, what that means is if it's a billable project, it goes to that team lead. If it's a non-billable project, sick time, PTO, anything admin, internal meetings, that can be then, instead of going to that project manager, it's now going to go to their staff manager. So we can actually take 2 different directions with that billable out time versus non-billable time. And hit save here. I have to refresh my screen after I do that. Moment. So here, timesheets, I'm going to come in here. Timesheets does it by project. You can do things like bulk actions, approve it a bunch at one time. You can also, 60 hours, it's probably something I'm going to want to drill down into. One staff is working, all these columns you can use to group. So here, you can again drill down in here. You can make changes. So if I say, Karen did 8 hours of work, I need to pay her for 8 hours of work, but she's a bit newer. So I'm going to write this down to 6. Hit save. Let me try that one more time. Oh, there we go. Billable 6, perfect. So instead, bill rate, total fee. Again, if you ever needed to update their notes, you can do this here or at the time of invoicing as well. Now we're going to come back to that dashboard. Expenses, this works just a little bit differently. This just has it broken down by staff. Same thing, I can drill down in here. When I'm doing this, I can actually switch views here so that when I select this, it'll pull that receipt up right for me. So when there is, multiple expenses in here, I can just keep clicking through and seeing the total amount and matching it to that submitted receipt. Now again, I can hit approve. The staff will get a notification. If for some reason you reject it, you can type in and say why. Why was this rejected? And approve. Now, we will review the approvals for invoicing in just a bit here. We're actually going to shift from these review and approvals into invoicing. I'm going invoicing overview. So this is another dashboard we're taking a look at today. Again, you see your WIP, your work in progress, any drafts or finals, and some AR aging detail. So I'm going to drill down into the WIP here. Here is all the work going on that has not yet been sent to the client. I can do things like I could start every single invoice at once and do a bulk create. For today's example, I'm just going to quickly drill down again into these fees here. I have it sorted by staff. If you want to take a look by task. If I ever needed to make notes look better as they're going on the invoice, great. Again, at this screen, you can also write up, write down. To go back to my WIP here, you can do the same exact thing with expenses. I'm going to select this. I'm going to do bulk create or create this. Again, we're taking a look at a fixed fee. You're going to see here I have quite a few options. I have item-based billing, which is if you have a fixed fee in time and material or something along those lines on the same invoice. We have T&M deposit, T&M, and if there's anything missing here, we can likely do it. Now, I'm going to just jump into the fixed fee here and hit next. Now, a couple different things going on here. Here are the tasks for that project. It adds the expenses at the bottom. The budget is what we filled in on that task tab. And you're going to see here, this based on your staff's bill rate, this is how much work has been done against this budget. So I could come in here and actually put in the 1775. Well, that's 8%. I can also, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to say, hey, we're doing 30% across the board. So while I've only done, $1,700 worth of work, I'm just, doing an invoice for straight 30%. If this is this is our first time invoicing this project, so there's no prior. The next time you come and invoice, it'll have that information here for you as well. I'm going to go ahead and hit finalize. Again, this is all internal information so far. I can, I'm not going to push this to my post this invoice yet, or I'm not going to email it out yet, because first I need to take a look at what is the client going to see. Let's go fixed fee. We can be very flexible with these templates. I have that PO number that pulls on in there. I have it sorted by task with the amounts. And 30%. I can have total, prior, this invoice. And then you can make it a simple one pager, or if you have a client, and you can have client specific templates as well. And if they require to see additional information, I have this subtotaled by task and sorted by date. I have their notes come on here and the total hours. Here are those expense details. And then again, that 12% markup automatically adds on there for me. And just like that, no more. And if you're dealing with those receipts in your current version of BigTime, it's much more of a manual process, and it's completely automated for you here. Now, I want to take a look at a different template really quickly. Let's say this was a time and material project. You're gonna, again, just hit time and material. Again, I have that sorted by task here on this first page. And now I have it sorted by task. We have, the staff, the date, the notes, hours, rate, amount. With these templates, just so you know, quite a bit you can do in here. First step is name it. Second step is really the look and the feel of the header. You can have, if you by chance have multiple logos, you can have a logo per template. The appearance, when you enter your logo, you get this, it'll color match your logo, so you can, again, continue to personalize those. But where like the information comes from is really here. If you're doing consolidated invoicing, any AR information, where you're selecting the info you'd like on there, how you're subtotaling it, and again, budget status for those fixed fee. And then if you want to add those receipts or not, totally up to you. And this is all on a template by template basis. Now, let's say, we're ready for that. Let me switch back to that fixed fee here. So let's say we are now ready for this invoice to go through the review and approval process. I can either add documents, include a note. I believe I have it on my team leads. If I didn't change that around, let's find out. So Patrick, whose profile we're going to pull back up, he is the team lead on this project. So now Patrick will have notifications. Today's date, you have an invoice to review. This is all immediate. He's going to come into his pending approvals. Here we go. He has 2 invoices. Here's that athletic center. So again, if this is something you're currently doing outside of BigTime, trying to download, merge documents, attach them to emails. So not only is this can all be housed for you in BigTime, but then I can show you other reports and you can see exactly when it was created, where is it in the review and approval process, all that good stuff. If Patrick himself needed to add documents, he's going to see what the client can see. He can actually see the detail as well. So if it's a document that you're not including that information on here, but you still want them to see this information, great. You can make it so they can actually edit this, or that they can just view and not edit. Again, all that plays into some of these user rights that we completely assist you with. So when Patrick comes back, he's going to say, in a perfect world, no edits. Yeah, okay. No, while you the next in the approval process, finance admin can get a notification. If we even just come back to this screen here, this is one of a few places that you will see here that it'll have a stamp on there. You can now a green little checkbox, and please send out today with today's date. When I come back here, again, I can now send it to the client. I can send it to Gina. I can CC the project manager. I can BCC myself if I'd like. If there's anyone else that needs to be on this, you can go ahead and copy them to it. All of these templates can be personalized or rewritten, and additional attachments can be added if need. Now, also at this time, since I've sent it to the client, it's gone through review and approval, I'm going to add it to my QuickBooks. I'm going to post this, post to QuickBooks. Now, if your QuickBooks desktop, you will have this sync agent. This replaced the remote monitor and much more reliable and faster. You're going to see here the QuickBooks for desktop, this runs on its own. If it's online, it's just immediate. But you'll see here, you can always do a manual push, but if you want to make it so it runs on its own, it would have run again at 11:41. So just beat that auto one. So now I'm going to open up my QuickBooks file. I'm going to go here. Let's go to my customer center. Here's Arizona, the athletic center. Today's date, total. You'll still manage your receivables. So say I receive a payment, but maybe it's not the full amount. Maybe it was 10 grand. Save and close. What's great about this is you will be able to track your AR in BigTime. So now you can give additional information to your project managers so that they are really, instead of having to follow up with whoever's managing QuickBooks or, hey, have checks been received? And also we do now have BigTime Wallet. BigTime Wallet is when you send out an invoice from BigTime, your client will have a portal to either pay by credit card or ACH. Our credit card rates are better than Intuit QuickBooks. So you have better rates with us. And for ACH, if they do ACH payment, it will automatically reconcile that invoice for you. Now, from invoicing, I'm going to just we have a couple more minutes here. I want to end on time for you. I do want to go ahead and take a look at the utilization dashboard. So this is one of the other dashboard I'd mentioned earlier on in the call. This capacity here is set by this date range. So if I go ahead and switch, let's add a month on, hit apply. It was 552, went to 712. These are the working days of the month, and it knows how many working days there are in a month. You can also flag any company holidays and remove that as a working day in the month. I have my project status. Again, I'm taking a look at what's in process and what I'm expecting to come in as well. I can go ahead and take a look at everything Agnes here is meant to be working on. And I can drill down into this as well. And you can sort or group and sort by those cost centers. I can toggle back and forth from a weekly to a monthly. From here, I do want to show you one quick report before we look at a few allocation reports and wrap up with questions. This by far is my favorite report here in BigTime. I'm going to go ahead and open this in a new tab. What this is when we had entered those budgets, this is going to be any time and expense that have gone against it. I could easily make an edit to this and add in hourly. So this report's showing me everything going on in the company. So I got to do some scrolling here. Universe Athletic Center. So this is what we were looking at today. So estimate, fees input, expenses, and total input and remaining. So I can see here, on test, nothing's been done against that. But with the reporting, I only have $2,000 left. So this is one, your project managers, when they come in here, they're only going to see the projects they're assigned to. So they're not going to see everything going on in the company unless you want them to. They're just going to see the ones that what they're supposed to be looking at. Now, say those hourly budgets are really important to you. These reports are very easy to manipulate. I can come in and start to add in things like my hourly estimate, what was input, what was remaining. And then you can group these columns, you can rename the columns, you can really make, a lot of times I'll have a client send me something they're doing in Excel, and I can do like a 90 to 100% match here in BigTime. Now, just some other reports I wanted to quickly take a look at. A revenue projections, allocations by week and staffer, and then free time grid. I actually want to do that week and staffer first, because what's really cool about this report is that here's your staff, Here's what they're working on. You can look at this on a week or monthly basis. And so you can see here really a good picture of who's working on what and when. But then I can give Karen a report. So she doesn't see everyone. Karen only sees herself. So she will then see the project she's expected to be working on, what weeks and how many hours. So she can help budget her time and start to really stay in line with how much time you're supposed to be spending on certain tasks. Now, here's what's been allocated. Let's take a look at what hasn't been allocated. This is the free time grid. And again, we're looking at this, the last report we were looking at a weekly, this is a monthly. So I can see here again, if you're looking at a big project coming in October of 2020, I can see exactly who has capacity to take that on. Now, I can see here, Neville, he was at negative 48 hours for 1 month. So that would definitely be a red flag. And you can even add hyperlinks to these reports, but when I want to drill down on some of this information, I'd likely be doing that in the utilization dashboard. Now, the last report we're going to take a look at for today are those revenue projections. So here you're going to see Chicago Public Schools. I can see that I have just about 23,650 in revenue coming in June of 2021. We did just have a question come in. How do you handle estimates to complete that may take more time than was originally budgeted? So this information is really from previous reports, and one, I'd love to jump on a call with that client to review. You're going to either have to shuffle some time around in that task editor, but this will give you you'll also be able to use this for future job costing. So I've had clients who've gone back to the client and actually said, hey, we need another $5,000, and they'll end up adding that as a task or a subtask under it. So then you're still doing, getting that good tracking. And then also that's again how you can use this for future job costing, because you'll be able to say, hey, we've always been budgeting $10,000 for this. It's routinely taking $14,000. So again, it's going to really start to give you that information. Great question. Again, so this last report was those revenue projections. It all, again, like all reports in BigTime, will subtotal for you on the bottom. That is all I had for today. Again, my name is Matt McCahill. I'm your account manager here at BigTime Software. We do have about 12 minutes left on the call. If any other questions come in, and then I will be following up with everyone, just shooting you an email or giving you a quick call to see if you'd like to schedule. You can do a trial of this as well. And what's really cool about the trial is it's complimentary. It's a 2-week trial, but it's not a blank account. We can convert your data. And no, this does not affect your live account in any way, shape, or form. We can convert your data and you can see your information. And just, for next steps, when you move forward, you get to see all of this information in BigTime. There are only 3 things that do not convert over. Those 3 things are custom invoices, custom reports, and user rights. But what's great about that is we get to get you set up in an IQ account, set those 3 things up, and then when you do your final conversion, they are still there. They do not get erased in the final conversion. Last but not least, when you do sign and move forward, the first thing that happens is you meet with your success manager. On the success team, we have quite a few dedicated individuals. This will likely be a new process for you in BigTime just because it wasn't available in Enterprise. We not only have our sales and support team, but then the success team is an entity of its own within BigTime. The first thing you will do with that individual is schedule a kickoff call. The system admins will be on that call, and anyone else you'd like in the organization, that's completely up to you. You typically train on IQ for anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks before the final conversion. We spread it out a little bit, make it so it's not overwhelming. And so before that final conversion, you're an expert and feeling extremely comfortable in the new version. And we even have helped out with communication to the employees and staff within account as well when they make that final conversion. Again, my name is Matt here at BigTime. It doesn't look like any other questions have come in. So I will go ahead and be following up with everyone on today's call in the next day or so. One more question coming in. So if you can definitely have multiple projects under the same client, very common. And if it's saying, can you, if I'm reading this correctly, it's can you, without making separate project numbers, I do believe that one field is going to be will have to be a unique project number. Now, that's just that one field. On a project level, you can add in custom fields, very simple to do. So then you can add in those fields right there, or you can even use the PO number, which also pulls onto invoices. Instead of calling it PO, you can call it, that invoice number. So there's a couple different ways to work that out. I will also follow up with that question with that client as well. Thanks again for everyone's time today. Have a great rest of your week and enjoy your summer. All right, thank you.